Thank you. Good morning. We're going to start with a show of hands. This is 406 Creative, so how many of you, by a show of hands, consider yourself to be a creative person? Okay. For those of you that didn't raise your hand, either you can exit quietly, guy in the back, or maybe you need to grab one of those free cups of coffee that are in the back of the room. Other question, how many of you have ideas that you want to get out of your head and into the market? And raise your hands if that idea is a physical product, something you can drop on your foot. Raise your hand if that your idea is a service. Okay. And who would raise their hand for other? Does anyone have an other? What are you classifying as other?
More like online, like coursework or teaching or learning.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Well, this morning I'm going to run through some key principles I've found in getting ideas out of my head and into the market. Then I'm going to quickly go through some process and tools that I use. And when I say quickly, I mean that I'm trying to save time at the end for questions. So if you have that specific burning one-on-one hot seat question that you're comfortable asking in front of everyone else, we can do that at the end. Happy to do that. But for now, we'll just hit the broad brush summary. You'll see it's through the filter of consumer products, because that's my background. And how many of you have seen me present before, online or in person? Perfect. All right. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Jared Joyce, inventor entrepreneur. In addition to trying to convince people on stages that I've got the next best thing, for the last 13 years here in beautiful Bozeman, Montana, I've invented and developed over 200 consumer products, several patents issued on many, and before that, before I was this guy, Jared Joyce inventor, I was this guy, MSU architecture major. How many of you know an architecture student? Oh, perfect. It's a very sleepless major, and I was launching my company out of my dorm room. And so I would start to fall behind in architecture while trying to run, dual lives. And so I started playing with the idea of, what if you could build your model not in the final month or the final 2 weeks, but what if you could do that in a day? And after first year, when you start to learn how to play the game, I would float this idea to my fellow students, and they would say, no, that's a terrible idea. Because, well, for one, who are you going to find that has the skilled labor of architecture majors? I mean, we really know how to cut and paste better than anyone. So that's true. But what if you could? And then others would say, yeah, but design is a fluid process, and you're designing as you build the model. You can't just say this is the model and then build it and nothing changes by the time you're done. I said, good point. But what if it could be done? And so by my senior year, I had this down to a bit of a science. Here we are getting all of your general studies majors who think that X-Acto knives, wood glue, zap it, all these things would be fun. And when people would ask, why would you put your final model, your final grade in the hands of non-architecture majors, essentially it came down to that you have to fall far enough behind to begin to think that this could be a good idea. But sure enough, if you know North Hedges, what used to be tutorials in the back, there's a sign on the door, seating for 10, everyone gets their own complimentary X-Acto knife and glue. I kick off with 15 minutes of here's what I've been designing for the last 15 weeks, get inspired, yes! And then back in the days before everyone had a laser cutter, we had to cut those out by hand. And this was a process of gluing up the positive space, adding a little bit of landscaping for scale, and voila, 3 hours later, you had a finished model that others were spending 2 to 4 weeks on. Quick shout out here, the girl on the left, when I was running this room, I'm running 3 rooms like the one you saw to get this all done in 3 hours, and so I'm popping back in, and she says, oh, you had an error in your process. I was like, what? Because, come on, me? And then she quickly points it out, and I'm like, oh my goodness, you're right, good catch. And then I'm about to tell the room, stop what you're doing. And she goes, no, it's all right. I figured out what you did wrong. I figured out why you thought it was right, and I got everyone back on track to get you your final product that you want us to build. And I thought to myself, whew, I may have been up for 36 hours, but I think I need to ask this girl out. And as of 4 months ago, we now have 2 beautiful children. And you never know who you're going to meet. So the story of the model in one day is a story of the power of constraints. It's also a paradigm question, that being, what is it that you believe to be true that if it weren't true would change everything? And with all of my students or my fellow classmates who are saying, you know, it can't be done, it's a bad idea, you can talk till you're blue in the face to try and convince someone of something. But the moment you make it real for them, it's their reality. The moment I walked in 3 hours later to studio with a model that had not been started 3 hours before, that's when their jaws drop and say, how did you do that? Tell me more. I might need to try, start doing this next semester. So power of constraints. You really have to think about whether it's a real constraint or an artificial constraint, ways that you can go ahead and optimize your time. We're going to jump forward for sake of time. After college, the first 4 projects I set out to do was to design, prototype, patent, and license 4 projects in 4 years. And the idea was that at that time, patents were issuing within 14 to 24 months. And what ended up happening was that year 2 came and went, no patents had issued. Then year 4 came and went, no patents had issued. And I had all of these companies saying, we love it, we want it, do you own it? And I would say, well, it's patent pending. And they say, well, come back when it's patent issued. And so I was in this flux of, what am I going to do with these projects that they haven't failed, the patents haven't issued, I just got to figure out this timing. And I started to think maybe what I should do is create an online portfolio of all these other ideas that I've been putting off, because I was head down, disciplined, working on these 4 specific projects. But of course, I'm a creative guy. All these ideas are coming to me on the, in the proverbial notebook sitting on the shelf. And I thought, if I wait to go after any of these ideas until I've finished these 4, the market opportunity may have passed. So yeah, let's create an online portfolio. Let's get creative credit for having thought in all these different fields, even if I never commercialize them. And the idea is that it would be marketing via public disclosure, so that companies would say, oh, no kidding, Jared Joyce has an issued patent in our space. I know him from A, B, and C. Yeah, I'll take that meeting. And right as I was about to create this online portfolio for myself, pause for water, this company, Quirky, they came online, and they pioneered a model known as social product development. They got a total of 1.4 million users to be part of their online community, and each week people would submit what they think is the next best idea. And the users would vote, comment, and rate. The best ideas would bubble up to the top, and by the end of the week they'd say, congratulations, this is the Quirky product of the week, we're taking this one to market. And so I thought, this is perfect because everyone needs a deadline. So this means that my rules for success are going to be that every week for a year, I will pitch an idea on Quirky, and by the end of that year, I will have secured my online portfolio. People will know that I'm consistent, deliver at a high level, overall, good guy to work with. Notice in my rules for success, I never had to win product of the week. It's just about showing up. That was the primary thrust. And so what ended up happening with that exercise was that nobody won product of the week more times than I did. And it's a powerful lesson in that we all undervalue our expertise. Because previous to that, I had 5 years of architecture school where every week, 3 times a week, I'd have to get up, present what I had done, defend what I had done. After graduating, I had 5 years of invention pitching, where you're getting into companies and you're saying, here's why you'll love it, here's why it'll make you money. And again, pitching your work, defending your work. And so it turns out I've just gotten really good at distilling benefits and features into 30 seconds or less. And after that started gaining some momentum, I have to say, go back to this. The other thing was that every week when it was time to hit submit, I was embarrassed because I would say to myself, oh, if I just had another week to do this, or if I just had a month to do this, or if I were pitching this to a real company, I'd have a better prototype or a better video. And again, this is the power of the deadline. Everybody on that platform had 1 week. So 1 week, every week you ship. So then Fast Company does an article on Quirky, and they have this infographic saying, does innovation flow from big cities? And you'll notice that over on the right, New York has the largest submissions. Well, sure, it was founded in New York. There's a lot of innovation in New York. Over on the left, California, second. Look, sure, a lot of people in California, but third is Montana. And the author writes, Montana, one of the most sparsely populated states in the country, accounts for nearly 7% of all the submissions to Quirky. And the people in the online community would then post online and say, it's not Montana, go to the website, it's Jared Joyce. And this was not per capita. If it were per capita, the dot would have looked like that. And so when you connect the dots backwards, it was a year's worth of submissions, 1 or 2 a week, that I was embarrassed of, that became the tipping point for the Fast Company article, the Shark Tank appearance, Invention USA, TED Talks. And so that's the power of being in motion. And your best competitive advantage can be to be in motion. People ask me, what was your most successful product on Quirky? And this product is called the Plug Hub. My thought was everybody owns a power strip and everybody has between 8 inches and 8 feet of cord that they need to rid the rat's nest and conquer the cord chaos. And so I pitched this with no patent and no prototype, and within 9 months of hitting submit on the website, it was in every Bed Bath & Beyond, on HSN, all big box retail. And so this is the time everybody wants to be an inventor. But I remind you, I submitted 84 ideas in 1 year to Quirky. And so if you want to have good ideas, you've got to have a lot of ideas. Oh, look, there's a slide that says just that. And so now this becomes a contradiction. This talk is about how to pursue your best ideas. So if this is a situation about volume and you need to be able to commit your time to your highest and best work, in this case, producing that portfolio, how do you create the bandwidth to have that focus? Bruce Lee says it's not the daily increase, but daily decrease. Hack away at the unessential. And so this is where you have to look at the things you do repetitively in your life, and you have to figure out how to optimize, automate, and outsource. Any process could be optimized. Let's say you're doing it in 10 steps, figure out how to do it in 7 steps. It could be automated. Is there software that could automatically send that email, post that event, get that payroll done? And finally, outsource. At what point you have optimized and automated, then and only then might you consider getting a human to help you with that task and do that for you. Optimize, automate, and outsource. So now I want to take you through process and tools. Again, this is through the filter of I have an idea, typically for a physical consumer product, and I want to figure out how to develop it to a point that I can pitch it to a company, get their interest, sign a licensing deal, move on to the next project. And you may have heard of the term MVP, minimum viable product. That's typically what the entrepreneur creating a company around their idea goes after. What's my minimum viable product that I can put into the marketplace that people will use and I can start getting some traction, start making some money? In my world, MVP is a minimum viable pitch. If I'm going to have 30 ideas that I want to push in a week, well then preferably I get this down to a 1-page sell sheet, which is title, tagline, benefits, features, done. So if I can communicate my ideas in 30 seconds or less, that's ideal. Sometimes you got to build a prototype, sometimes you got to make a video. Still, minimum viable pitch is what's running through my head in order to get the interest, get the first 30 seconds, get the next 5 minutes, but not be spending a week, a month, a year, thousands of dollars, and be nowhere. Anyone heard of Evernote? Okay. Evernote, again, filter of consumer products is we need to create your external brain. When we had our first child, my wife said to me, now that we are going to have our first child, can we make sure that your ideas don't spill to the dining room table? Well, that's reasonable, I suppose. But I like that process. I mean, that's my external brain. The phone rings, I walk out there, things are there and in motion, and yeah, I like it. It works. But if we had to put on the constraint, back to constraints, how might I get rid of that messy dining room table filled with papers and prototypes? And Evernote, if you don't use all of its functions, you can store all of your ideas. You can have the Evernote web clipper, so when you're online, you see something cool, you clip it, folder, done, gone. But the most powerful thing of this software is that a month later, a year later, you're searching on Google, I want to look up water bottles. And not only do you get to see what Google has, but instantly it's linked to your Google account. And it says, saved in Evernote are these files on water bottles. And right in that, just kind of like Toyota's just-in-time manufacturing, just-in-time idea association. You're like, oh yes, I completely forgotten that I saved that 2 years ago, and here it is right now, ready to assist me. The hardware component for me with Evernote, anyone heard of the ScanSnap? So this is a scanner that actually works. It doesn't jam, and when it does jam, 0.5% of the time, you just lift a button and it comes out. And what the beauty of this ScanSnap does for us is that any time something comes into your world that you need to deal with, maybe it is the insurance statement, the bank statement, the pictures on the fridge that have accumulated another 12 months, what have you. This is something that you don't need piling up in your life. And so this is the opportunity to drop it in ScanSnap, send it to Evernote, and at what point you need to research, archive, distribute, you can do it. You can do it better than if it were in a box on a shelf. And so is there still sometimes things on the dining room table? Sure. But I can tell you that this has a counter on it, and we have removed over 6,000 physical sheets of paper that would have been in our home because we now have a red folder that every time something comes in, we put it in the red folder. When the red folder gets to be about 1 inch thick, we say, time to do a ScanSnap session. And when the kids are in bed, you knock it out. Trello, anyone know Trello? For those of you who don't, it's about the Kanban system, which is to do, doing, and done. And so for any amount of projects, this could be for work, it could be for home, it could be your honey-do list, you just go ahead and get it out of your head, onto the card, and now you know if it is in the process of to do, doing, or done. And with Trello, there's the software user interface that they have applied to this. You can go ahead and put deadlines, you can go ahead and tag other people. And so for me, I always want to be in a situation where I'm not more than 20, 30 seconds away from getting an idea out of my head, because now is probably not the time to dive deep and research it and develop it, but I don't want to lose it. So I have a long running list of invention ideas. And if you have, say, the app on your phone, an image can inspire you, you can take a picture, you can voice the text, you can hit send, and it's now saved on that card. You can set up an email digest for later that all those ideas come to your inbox at 8 p.m. when you have time, whatever it is for you, to process those ideas further. And then with kids, all right, skipping ahead here, Zapier and IFTT, if this then that, those are software applications that, as I was just mentioning, if I wanted to get that Trello list all compiled to an email digest each day, this is software online that you can use to automate those activities. Zapier is a little more complicated but more robust. IFTTT is simpler. Anyone should get going on it. It's free. And so one of the ways I use IFTTT is that with kids, there's often a baby in my hand. So what happens when you're feeding that bottle and you say, ooh, the dripless baby bottle. That's what we need. Baby, bottle, stuck. So this is where you can say, Alexa, trigger invention ideas. And you say what it is, and it adds the card, and there you go. It's in, hands-free. And so for those of you who aren't concerned that your Amazon Echo is always listening and you'll not have any privacy, if you can get over that, I would highly recommend you get one. Additionally, for kids, we would never have known our daughter loves to dance and sing so much. if it weren't for the fact that on demand, she says something, you'd say, oh yeah, play Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And all of a sudden the music's playing. Because before that, you'd have to walk over to your sound system and hook it up and hit play, and who has time for that? They just spilled their breakfast. Google Suite, pretty self-explanatory, but use that frequently. Amazon, I know you all use it, but this is going to be Amazon for inventors. So when you are researching products, you often have to buy a lot of the existing solutions on the marketplace. But you don't want to go broke buying the existing solutions and researching and developing. So who's heard of Amazon Warehouse? Aha, they hide it pretty well on the website. Amazon Warehouse is the place where people have purchased the products and for whatever reason returned them. Oftentimes they're flawless. Sometimes they have a scratch, but it's somewhere between a 30 and 50% discount. And so this is a prime opportunity to start shopping in Amazon Warehouse first, when it's not supposed to be a gift, it's not supposed to be forever. You just want to get it, tear it apart, find out how it works, and move on. If you were wanting to buy new, Invisible Hand is a plugin that when you're at the Amazon website, if the price on Amazon is not the best price, this yellow bar pops up and it says, hey, there's a cheaper price at this website. And you say, thanks, and you go buy it over there. But if you have the patience, as I often have, camel, 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 this is a Chrome extension or any platform, but you click that little square camel button and a graph comes up and it shows you the price of that item for the entire time it's been on Amazon. And you can see the highest and the lowest. Most importantly, you can see if it has a trend of every quarter dropping a large amount. And so for Amazon new, third-party new, and third-party used, you can go ahead and hit a save search. So, send me an email when that's $10. I'm not interested at 20, but I'd buy it at 10. And then you move on. And so this is a way that I can run tens, perhaps hundreds of projects at once and be patient about which one gets the next focus of attention, because it's always about, this price-conscious development budget for prototyping a lot of ideas. And then I started using Camel, Camel, Camel so much because I love movies. And I would say, new movie? Yes. $20? No. Email me when it's $5. And then they're going to email me when it's 5 or less. And so what would happen is every Black Friday, I would get 50 emails in my inbox that says, this is now $1.99. $1.99 delivered with free slow shipping credit for $1.99. I'll take it. And so just as an aside, I started to say, well, what if I could just have my own drop-down menu that shows me all the movies under $5? So after 200 physical consumer products, a few months ago I launched Movies Under $5. And so you guys can get this for free. You click the button and it shows you today, here's your physical Blu-rays and DVDs under $5. Here's your Amazon Video rental or purchase under $5. And then my favorite tab is the top pick tab. While there are a million titles, literally, on Amazon that you could buy, movie titles, there's only a few thousand every day that are under $5. And so the top pick tab takes the one that's under $5 with the most reviews, and it sets you up to know exactly that. So if you didn't have time to scroll through all the others, you can just go there. And then of course, if you share it on Facebook, you have a chance to win it for free. And it's been a fun little exercise, given that it was my first non-physical consumer product. Design Pickle. Anyone heard of Design Pickle? Back to everyone needs a deadline. Design Pickle is a unlimited, by the month, graphic design service. So every day when I'm looking through my Trello list of ideas, instead of being paralyzed by all the possibilities, I say, which one of these do I want to develop into a sell sheet? Meaning, I need to take 5 minutes of time to figure out a title, a tagline, the benefits, the features, and maybe I'll grab some images to guide the graphic designer, and then I send it off. So it takes me 5 to 15 minutes to type up that email, and then a graphic designer goes and works for me for 2 to 8 hours to get it done. And then because they are in the Philippines, by 3 a.m. I have the copy, which means first thing in the morning I can review it. I can say, change this, this, and this, hit send, it's out of my head, kids are waking up, and this is a way to have the deadline that every day you got to figure out how you're going to move that forward just that little bit. So unlimited graphic design is Design Pickle. Adobe Creative Cloud, for me, primarily Photoshop. Rhinoceros is my CAD and 3D digital modeling, but more and more all those things get outsourced because other people are better at it than me. AppSumo, who's heard of AppSumo? AppSumo is like Groupon for apps. And so most of the apps you're going to see me present, they were listed on AppSumo. And the beauty of it is that instead of paying $20 a month for a subscription to something, they'll get you $39 for life. And so at that price point, you say, sure, I'll go ahead and check that out. I'll try that. And so, Rescue Time, back to hacking away at the unessential. Rescue Time you can use in a variety of ways. First, you can just say, show me how I use my time online. And it'll show you how you spend time at all the websites, and that can be pretty sobering. It can make you grow up. But if you still can't grow up, you can say, lock me out of these websites for these period of time. And that's a way to do it, and then you can get your stats as to how you're doing throughout the week, so you can keep the focus on what you want to be, your highest priorities. Brain FM, if you have kids in the other room, this is especially helpful. This is scientifically proven music that I'm not about relaxing and sleeping, but for focus. I use it for focus all the time. And so instead of listening to music with lyrics that could get you distracted, this really helps you sink in, block out the other noise, and focus on your work. And you can set it for 30, 60, and 2-hour increments. 30 minutes, 60 minutes, 2 hours. Cloud App. Anytime I'm getting, let's say, one of those revisions from Design Pickle, I just go ahead and click my webcam, and I can say, we need this, that, the other, go over to another tab, something that looks like this, that's what I'm going for, thanks. And if you have enough development and rapport with your virtual assistant, then you can do something like that. As you ramp up, you do have to create this well-structured email that took 5 times longer to write and to get the same effect. And so one of the things to consider when delegating is, what is the minimum amount of structure that I need to put in place in order for this person to be successful? So again, with Design Pickle, I work with them a lot. They know my style. I can just pull up a screen capture, and whether it's a screencast or an annotated screenshot, I can set it off and be done. Ditto Clipboard Manager. If you've ever been in the situation of typing an email and you wanted to paste something in, but then you got busy in another tab and now you lost that paste, this shows you infinite amount of copy paste, and you just go back to it like that one, and as soon as you touch it, it's copied back to the clipboard, you hit paste, and now you can move on. So never lose time losing that copy paste bandwidth. TubeBuddy optimizes and streamlines videos that I put on YouTube. Followup.cc is a great one. Anyone heard of it? Again, with all these, there's competing products, PC, Mac. This is just to give you a groundwork of what to consider. So someone sends you an email, you sent an email, and you want to make sure you follow up if you haven't heard from them within a week. So in the BCC field, you just say follow up 1 week. And 1 week later, you get the email back, and you can reply. If you had put it in the carbon copy, then both of you get the email back. And so the onus is on them to say, ooh, my bad, I didn't get that done. Or you signed up for a free 30-day trial, and you say, all right, followup.cc 1 month, so that you can cancel that 30-day free trial before it comes due. So very simple. I would say 80% of my emails get this attached to it, because it's so easy, it's free, there's no limit. Paperform, when I want to create a survey, these guys have easy surveys and elegant, little better looking than the Google surveys. Calendly, lots of calendar functions out there, but the thing I like the most about this is they say it can take 7 email exchanges to set up a time and place with someone. And so when I am trying to get into companies and their time is precious and we want to make it as easy as possible to connect, once I've got that initial interest in the email, I can say just schedule at this link. And it will populate their name, their contact information, my calendar around meetings, baby schedule, everything is already pre-populated. So they just look and say, oh, I'll talk with you at this time. And then everybody's happy and you don't lose the momentum and you move on. LinkedIn, please tell me you know LinkedIn. Before LinkedIn was a thing and before LinkedIn was ubiquitous and everyone was on it, the way you got into companies was to call the front desk. You had to get through the gatekeeper. And they were there to tell you no. And so you had to get creative on how you found contact information. Now with LinkedIn, you can find people who are in charge of marketing, sales, product development, and go to them directly. Now, you might say, well, I'm not linked with them on LinkedIn, I can't contact them. This is where LinkedIn Premium at $30 a month is worth its weight in gold because they allow you InMail, which means you're not connected with them, but you can message them. And so you just have a short message, you have a link to maybe it's a sell sheet or a pitch video, and now you've hooked their interest and they'll connect with you. And that's the other thing, with any idea you want to work on, you got to find the companies who might be a good fit. And so LinkedIn instantly creates, oh, now I've created 30 companies to contact simply because I was using the keyword search and I found all these companies that I didn't even know the names of, but they're in that space. And that's LinkedIn as, you know, we know it without special tools, but my most recent favorite tool is called Leonard for LinkedIn. And the 3 reasons I think all of you should check out Leonard. It was on AppSumo a couple weeks ago, so I got the lifetime deal. You'll have to pay by the month, I guess. Is that 3 things. 1, you can say, you know, here's my search, employees at Amazon that are in this sector, and it produces 180 people. And you can say, view these profiles. And then it'll look at the profiles for 15 seconds each. And then at the end of the week, when those people are looking at their LinkedIn summary, it says, who looked at your profile this week? Who's Jared Joyce? Oh, he might be able to add value. Let's connect. And now the difference between me reaching out and say, hey, I got something, you want to see it? Is very different from the expert platform conversation of them coming to me saying, hey, I saw you were looking, can I be of help? Now, that doesn't always work. Just because you look at them doesn't mean they want to connect with you. So, number 2 reason, you can go ahead and say on that same list, connect with all these people. And you can have a pre-populated message of why you want to connect. So you can go ahead and say, because we have similar contacts, similar industry, or I have something that I think would be of interest to you. And again, instead of me sending 100 emails, I can go ahead and craft 1, hit send, it takes care of the rest. And then what about when you've already connected with them and you're building this ever larger network? It has the built-in CRM, which is your email marketing system, where you can go ahead and say, send this message to my first connections on the list, and you can move it that way. And so, again, maybe you only have a temporary project and you want to pay the monthly subscription for 1 month, totally worth it. But that's a very powerful tool in that nobody wants to go through the cold calling, cold contacting process, but when you can automate it, it doesn't hurt as much. And then when the 2% of people contact you, it feels good because you just checked your inbox and you know all this work had been done on your behalf to bring that one person who is actually interested. And then as your LinkedIn profile grows, people begin to know of your expertise. Some want to pay for it, some want it for free. This is where Clarity.fm is very helpful. Clarity.fm is a platform where people who have questions from experts go to get answers. And so people that find me on LinkedIn, they'll go ahead and check out my profile and they say, oh, if I want to learn how to generate and communicate ideas, how to pitch your big idea, licensing, negotiation, and strategy, these are his big 3 things, sure, I'll schedule a call. And that's a nice way that I can get paid to talk about what I've gotten good at. And if they schedule a 15-minute call and we end up talking for an hour, well, they're being billed by the minute. So not until they hang up does the clock stop. And 5 minutes after they hang up, you've got an email that says, congratulations, you've got money. And also for those that you want to put You want to help for free because you have a heart, but you want to put a little barrier in. I do this a lot. People will say, hey, I want to talk to you about blah, 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 blah. And I say, please schedule a call at the free call link below, and we'll make it happen. And what happens is that I have a tendency to care about other people's dreams more than they do. It's one of my weaknesses. And so my minimum bar is that if you don't care enough about your dreams to create a free account on Clarity with name and email and schedule a call, then I don't care enough about your dreams to consult with you for free. And 80% of the time, people don't follow through. It's always in the moment, and then they're on to the next thing. So that's the way that you can be the good guy that didn't say no, but then still keep your calendar clear with your highest level priorities. And then finally, desktop hardware. You might have guessed all of this is happening at my computer, desktop computer. I have a laptop, I have a phone, but I prefer the well-lit workstation, ergonomic chair, full-size keyboard, monitor. And so if you're going to be spending your life on a computer, let's be looking at optimizing your tools. If you're on a PC, you can download CrisPC Win Experience Index. You'll notice that it breaks down the computer by processor, memory, graphics, and hard disk. And it shows you where the bottlenecks are in your system. How many of you have a solid-state drive in your computer today? Okay, you absolutely must get one. If money could buy happiness, money would buy a solid-state drive. If you look on, this is a printout from my computer. Down there on the bottom, primary hard disk 9.1. I have the fastest hard drive available on the market, and it's still the slowest score on my computer. So that means those of you who are using a regular hard drive, it's the bottom denominator. Everything bottlenecks at the speed of your hard drive. So if you just spend 150 bucks, you can get 5 times faster speed, and your computer won't freeze, and you won't be frustrated, and it gets back to productivity and time. So that is the quick list of process and tools. Amy, what are we at on time?
We probably have about 8 minutes for questions.
Okay. And I forgot to say at the beginning that for those of you who like to take notes, if that makes you feel better, do that. But if you're like me who doesn't like to take notes, everything I just ran through I put in a mind map for you. And Amy will be passing it out now, so you can look back at it later when you have a chance, and you don't have to hold 50 apps in your head. So does anyone have questions?
Quick question, is this being filmed for later to be viewed again?
I believe so.
Yeah, Amy's going to put it online.
Okay,
On the
all right.
46 website.
All right, thanks so much.
Very good. Any other questions?
I can't believe that. I'll ask more questions if no one else is.
Yes.
That movie $5 thing.
Yeah.
Did you build that?
As with all of my projects, I figure out what does the elegant end user experience look like, and I successfully communicate that to the right team of people that can help me get it done. So I had a developer help me with that.
Did you use some sort of, something like Design Pickle for that, or?
I used Design Pickle to help me mock up the layouts of what I wanted it to look like. But then the developer says, okay, here's how the code actually works, simpleton. and we make it work. And I forgot, I got carried away. Incentivized question asking. First question to you, second question to you. Your very own Plug Hub.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Because I just assume you all own power strips. Oh. Next question.
I mean, I guess I'm just kind of curious, like, did you design that with the intention of, like, kind of creating additional income, or was it more just, like, to kind of first foray into more of a digital product, or what was kind of the...
The answer is both. I have a very complex, set the world on fire, how do I take everything I know about getting ideas out of my head and into the market, creating the products, getting the companies, matching in the middle, contracts and done. Whew. I'd like to do that, but I knew that's not a good place to start. So I said, what's the simplest thing that I could take on? Oh, movies under $5. How hard could that be? Show me movies on Amazon that are under $5. And believe it or not, it gets really hard. So part of the intent was to learn about that world with a little sample exercise. And then the other part of the intent was that for years I've broken myself on creating products like the Plug Hub so that I can get a 4-ish% royalty every time you buy one, and your life was just fine without a Plug Hub in it. And so all this marketing goes into convincing you that you need this. And so with the Amazon Affiliate Network, Associates Network, anything that people are buying through the movies under $5, I'm getting a commission. And so I thought, why not just get paid for the stuff they're going to buy anyway? And now movies are just the tipping point of saying, ooh, movies under $5. What else do I want to put in my cart? Diapers, paper towels, whatever. And you get the commission off of that. So right now we have about 25 users, and I'm raking in the dough. Yes?
So I guess earlier you were saying you had idea, concept, product. And you used to have, did you used to have some sort of prototype built, and now you can take that through to a pitch without having to do that physical work?
Yes and no. The yes is that I've been doing this for 14 years. I've been on national television. That re-airs every quarter. You guys can watch my episode this Sunday if you want. I have issued patents, and I have a track record of making other people money. All of those things create an environment where now, because I've worked with that company before, or that company spoke well of me to the other company, companies are realizing that while patents are important, what's more important than patents are, will it sell?
Right.
And so, hey, thanks for adding value. If and when that sells, we'll give you a 5% royalty. Thanks, come again. And that's where generating and communicating ideas becomes the primary skill set, because all these companies know that power of brand and speed to market are the top two competitive advantages. If it starts selling well, they can play catch up on filing intellectual property within the first year. And every company is different as to why they would want patents or not. Amy?
Jared, when you were submitting, did you do that every week, or was it?
New idea every week.
Every week. How many ideas was that, roughly?
In the year, I did 84.
In 1 year, 84.
Yeah, so at one a week, that'd be 52, which means sometimes I was feeling extra inspired and did 2.
Okay, so that's a lot of ideas.
It's a lot of ideas. It's a lot of pitches.
And for me, I'm just thinking, gosh, so say I was tasked with creating 84 ideas in a year. I'm assuming independent and unique ideas, maybe somewhat related, but pretty new ideas.
Several of them you can see on the handout coming around.
That would take all of my time.
You would think.
Yeah, so how do you...
So that was in a life before kids. So I had a little bit of extra time as it related to when I would go to bed at night. I got to stay in my bed until I woke up. It's a luxury. But it was 20 hours a week, which meant that instead of watching a movie at night, I created a pitch. Times 5 nights, there you go, 20 hours.
Did you get better at it? I mean, you must have...
I'm very good, yes. Yes.
You said you had a lot of ideas that you were embarrassed to put out there. Was there ever a downside to an idea, like when you wish you pulled back because maybe it left a bad taste in somebody's mouth that you meant to impress and it blew it in your face a little more? Right,
so on that Quirky platform where everybody had the 1 week deadline, that's where it's just important to ship because everyone had the same constraints. When you are getting into, a more refined pitch, a more finalized meeting, sure, I'm guilty of being the perfectionist on every front. But that's the beauty of having that exercise in your life where you can say, here's where I get to be me to my worst perfectionist degree, and here's where I get to play by a set of rules that I may not like, but these are the rules. Let's see what happens. And what happened was, in that environment where you didn't need patents and prototypes, you were just pitching ideas, quirky, yeah, that became a huge marketing vehicle for me. So even though I did very well with the royalties that I made from the products, the fact that I became this D-grade celebrity of every inventor, anything knew about me. And I would start going to trade shows that I'd been to before, and people are saying, hey, I love Tape Stamp, because that was a video I'd done, and I'm like, oh, do you know my name? and so it's just this interesting thing of the byproduct of ordinary things consistently done make for extraordinary results. And all I did was pitched one idea a week, right? Even though I was embarrassed of it, other people thought it was impressive, because we all undervalue our expertise. We don't realize that other people haven't been pitching for 10 years of their life. And
So that
I make it look easy.
that just allowed you to bypass the normal door-to-door knocking, put something together.
And I still did all the door-to-door knocking 40 hours a week,
Right.
regular flow of work and process. It's just that the rules of the game are always changing. You have to extract and adapt techniques. Everything I showed you today, I don't know what industries you guys are in, but I'm hoping your brains are buzzing with, oh, I could use that for this, and those 3 apps together could lead me to do that. And for me, that's just the power of continually staying on the cusp of what's out there. Because back to Evernote, I didn't mention Product Hunt. Have you heard of Product Hunt? Product Hunt is, every day people say, here's what I think is the next coolest thing. Usually it's an app. Sometimes it's a service. Sometimes it's a product, but usually it's an app. And so the next day, the top 5 most upvoted products get compiled into an email digest. And so every day I look at that email digest, and I see the 5, and probably 20% of what I see there, I say, ooh, that could be cool if, and I'm thinking about 3 other things that need to come together. And so then I put it in the Evernote folder. And then at what point things come together, like my movie's under $5, now I have a need for whether it's the developer or the marketing or the extension, and I just go back to that folder and it all rushes to me because it has a great artificial intelligence. By the way, with Evernote, if you take a picture of your movie collection on the wall, someone can say to you, do you have Titanic? And you just type Titanic into Evernote, and the picture of the DVD wall shows up, and a yellow bar on the spine of the Titanic Blu-ray is right there. You're like, yes, yes I do. It's right here, bottom right. And so, you know, just this power of just start putting everything in there.
Resource.
Yeah.
Right.
That's